Zoroaster is probably a symbolic name, similar to Thoth or Hermes. Eudoxus and Aristotle say he lived 6,000 years before Plato, while others claim he was born 500 years before the Trojan War. Some describe him as a king from Bactria, and others believe there were 2 or 3 different Zoroasters. Eudoxus and Aristotle recognized the magical nature of Zoroaster, placing his teachings between the start of his doctrine and the philosophical reign of Plato. In fact, there are 2 Zoroasters. One is the son of Oromazdes and brings a true light, while the other is the son of Ahriman and represents a false teaching. Zoroaster is seen as the embodied word of the Chaldeans, Medes, and Persians. His story seems to predict that of Christ, and he likely had an antichrist, in line with the natural balance of the universe. The worship of material fire and the incorrect belief in a dualistic God should be attributed to the false Zoroaster. This false version led to misguided beliefs that affected true magic, causing harm to the Magi and pushing true magic into obscurity. The Church, guided by the Spirit of Truth, had to ban everything related to this early corruption of the mysteries, including names like magic, Manichaeism, Illuminism, and Masonry. The misunderstood history of the Templars is a notable example. The true Zoroaster's teachings are aligned with pure Kabbalah and share similar views on divinity with the Church Fathers. The main difference is in names. For instance, he calls what we know as the Trinity a triad, and he sees the full ternary within each number of the triad. This is similar to what theologians call the circumcision of the divine persons. Zoroaster's view of the triad helps explain the significance of the number 9 and serves as a key to all numbers and forms. What we refer to as the 3 divine persons, Zoroaster calls the 3 depths. The first depth, or paternal, is the source of faith. The second, connected to the Word, is the source of truth. And the third, related to creative action, is the source of love. On this scale of 9 levels, Zoroaster sets up the order of the heavens and the natural harmonies. He groups everything that comes from ideas in 3s and everything related to physical forms in 4s, which gives him 7 as a symbol of creation. This marks the end of the initial teachings, and the ideas from the school begin. Numbers are given personalities, and concepts turn into symbols that later become idols. This is when we see figures like the Synoches, the Teletarchs, and the Fathers, who serve the triple Hecate, followed by the 3 Amalictes and the 3 faces of Hypezokos. Then come the angels, the demons, and human souls. The stars represent the bright ideas, and our sun symbolizes a true sun, which is a shadow of the original source from which all light comes. This is why Zoroaster's followers welcomed the dawn and were seen as sun worshippers by outsiders. These were the teachings of the Magi, but they also held secrets that made them experts in the hidden powers of nature. These secrets, which could be called advanced fire science, were all linked to a deep understanding of fire and its control. It is believed that the Magi knew about electricity and had ways to create and direct it that we still do not understand. Numa, who learned about their rituals and was initiated into their mysteries, was said by Lucius Piso to have the ability to create and control lightning. This secret, which the Roman initiator wanted to keep only for the rulers of Rome, was lost by Tullus Hostilius, who mismanaged the electric discharge and was struck by lightning. Pliny mentions these events as part of an old Etruscan story, saying that Numa used his lightning power against a monster named Volta that was destroying the countryside around Rome. One might wonder, after reading this, if our physicist Volta is just a myth, and if the name voltaic piles goes back to Numa's time. All Assyrian symbols are connected to this science of fire, which was a major secret of the Magi. We often see the enchanter battling a lion and controlling serpents. The lion symbolizes celestial fire, while the serpents represent the electric and magnetic currents of the earth. It is to this great secret of the Magi that we can attribute all the wonders of Hermetic magic, which traditions claim holds the key to mastering fire. The scholar François Patricius published the oracles of Zoroaster in his book, Philosophical Magic. He collected these from the writings of the Platonists, the teachings of Proclus, the commentaries on Parmenides, Hermias's notes on Phaedrus, and Olympiodorus's notes on the Philebus and the Phaedo. These oracles clearly explain the doctrine we just discussed, followed by the instructions for the magical rituals, which are given in these terms. Demons and sacrifices. Nature teaches us that there are non-physical demons, and that the evil present in matter can turn towards good and useful purposes. However, these are deep mysteries that should remain hidden in our thoughts. Fire, which constantly moves and dances in the air, can take on shapes like physical bodies. Let's say that this fire is full of images and sounds. We can call this fire a bright light that shines, speaks, and twists. It is like a quick horse of light, or perhaps a strong child who controls and tames this heavenly horse. It can be dressed in flames and gold, or it can be shown as naked like love, holding arrows as well. But if you think deeply, you will see all these symbols represented by a lion. At this point, nothing will be visible in the sky or the universe. The stars will stop shining, and the moon will be hidden. The earth will shake, and everything will be surrounded by lightning. Do not try to call upon the visible spirit of nature yet. You must not see it until your body is purified through sacred trials. When the earthly distractions pull souls away from holy tasks, they will emerge from the dark places where matter ends, showing deceptive forms to human eyes. Work within the circles created by the diamond of Hecate. Do not change anything in the strange names used for calling upon spirits, because they are the universal names of God. They are empowered by the worship of many people, and their strength is beyond words. When, after all the illusions, you finally see this non-physical fire shining, this sacred fire whose arrows reach every part of the world at once, pay attention to what it tells you. This amazing passage, which we translate completely from Patricius's Latin, holds all the secrets of magnetism that Dupotet and Mesmer never realized. Here's what we see. 1. The astral light is clearly described, showing its ability to shape and reflect words and sounds. 2. The will of the practitioner is symbolized by a strong child riding a white horse, a symbol found on an ancient tarot card in the Imperial Library. 3. The risks of hallucinations in poorly executed magical practices. 4. The magnetic tool called the rhombus, which is a hollow wooden toy that spins and makes a humming sound. 5. The reason behind enchantments using words and strange names. 6. The goal of the magical work, which is to calm the imagination and senses, reaching a state of deep trance and perfect clarity. This teaching from ancient times reveals that clear ecstasy is a conscious and immediate connection of the soul to the universal fire, or this light full of images that shines, speaks, and surrounds everything in the universe. This connection happens through a focused will that is separate from the senses and strengthened by various challenges. This was the beginning of magical initiation. The adept, once he learned to read the light directly, became a seer or prophet. By connecting his will with this light, he learned to control it like aiming an arrow. He could send either trouble or peace into people's souls, communicate with other adepts from a distance, and harness the power symbolized by the celestial lion. This is what the great Assyrian figures mean when they are shown holding tamed lions. The astral light is represented by these huge sphinxes, which have lion bodies and the heads of wise men. This astral light, when used for strong magic, is like the golden sword of Mithras that sacrifices the sacred bull. It is also like the arrow of Phoebus that strikes the serpent python. Let's imagine the great cities of Assyria, like Babylon and Nineveh. Let's place back these giant stone statues, rebuild the massive temples held up by elephants or sphinxes, and raise tall obelisks with dragons that have sparkling eyes and outstretched wings hovering above them. The temple and the palace stand tall among these wonders. There, while always showing themselves through miracles, are the two visible powers of the earth, the priests and the king. The temple, controlled by the priests, is sometimes surrounded by clouds or shines with an otherworldly light. There can be darkness during the day, and sometimes the night glows brightly. The temple lamps light up on their own, the gods shine, thunder rumbles, and anyone who disrespects the initiated will face severe consequences. The temple protects the palace, and the king's servants defend the Magi's religion. The king is sacred, regarded as the god of the earth, and people bow when he walks by. Anyone foolish enough to enter his palace without permission would be struck dead instantly. Struck dead without a weapon, taken down by an unseen force, killed by lightning, brought down by heavenly fire. What a powerful religion. What great figures Nimrod, Belus, and Semiramis were. What must those almost legendary cities have been like where these massive kingdoms once ruled, the capitals of these giants and magicians who are sometimes confused with angels and still called the sons of God and princes of heaven. What secrets are hidden in the tombs of nations? And aren't we like children when we celebrate our knowledge and progress without even trying to remember these frightening histories? In his book on magic, Mr. Dupotet carefully suggests that it's possible to strike down a living being using a strong release of magnetic energy. The power of magic goes beyond just this supposed magnetic fluid. It also includes all astral light, electricity, and lightning, which can be controlled by human will. So, how can one gain this great power? Zoroaster tells us that one must understand the mysterious laws of balance that make even the forces of evil serve good. You need to purify your body through sacred trials, fight against illusions, and connect with the light, just like Jacob did when he wrestled with the angel. You must tame those wild dogs that bark in dreams. In short, to use the oracle's strong words, you must hear the light speak. Then you will be in control and can direct it, like Numa, against the enemies of the sacred mysteries. But if you are not completely pure, if you are still ruled by animal passions, you will be burned by the fires you create. You will fall victim to the serpent you unleash, and you will meet your end like Tullus Hostilius. It is not natural for humans to be eaten by wild animals. God has given us the ability to resist them. We can captivate them with our gaze, command them with our voice, and stop them with a sign. In fact, we see that even the fiercest animals are scared by a steady human gaze and seem to tremble at a human voice. Projections of astral light can paralyze them and fill them with fear. When Daniel was accused of false magic, the king of Babylon tested him and his accusers with lions. Animals only attack those who are afraid of them, or those they themselves fear. A brave and unarmed person could definitely make a tiger back down just by looking at it. The magicians used this power, and the kings of Assyria had tamed tigers, gentle leopards, and trained lions in their gardens. Others were kept in underground chambers of temples for initiation trials. The symbolic carvings show this. They depict battles between men and animals, where the adept, dressed as a priest, controls them with his gaze and stops them with a hand gesture. Many of these images are likely symbolic, especially when the animals take on forms like the Sphinx. But some show the animals in their natural state, and the struggle seems to represent real enchantment. Magic is a science that can't be misused without losing its power and losing oneself in the process. The kings and priests of Assyria were too mighty not to risk falling if they ever became too proud, and that pride led to their downfall. The great magical era of Chaldea came before the reigns of Semiramis and Ninus. By that time, religion was starting to become more materialistic, and idol worship began to take over. The worship of Astarte replaced the worship of celestial Venus, and royalty started to be revered under names like Baal and Bel or Belus. Semiramis brought religion down to the level of politics and conquests, replacing the old mysterious temples with grand and flashy monuments. However, the magical idea still influenced the sciences and arts, giving the remarkable buildings of that time a unique strength and grandeur. The Palace of Semiramis was a combination of all of Zoroaster's teachings. We will explore this more when we discuss the symbolism of the 7 ancient masterpieces known as the wonders of the world. The priesthood had become weaker than the empire because they tried to make their power more physical. When the empire fell, it was bound to crush them, and that's what happened under the weak king Sardanapalus. This prince, who loved luxury and comfort, turned the magic of the priests into something cheap. What good is the ability to do wonders if it doesn't bring enjoyment? Enchanters, make winter produce roses, improve the taste of wine. Use your power over light to make the beauty of women shine like that of the gods. They obey, and the king gets drunk. Meanwhile, war breaks out, and the enemy is advancing. But what does the enemy matter to a coward who is indulging and sleeping? It is ruin, disgrace, and death. Death. Sardanapalus doesn't fear it. He thinks it's just a long sleep. But he will find a way to escape the struggles and humiliations of being a servant. The final night has come. The victor is at the gates, and the city can no longer hold out. Tomorrow will mark the end of the Assyrian kingdom. Sardanapalus' palace is lit up, shining so brightly that it lights up the entire troubled city. Amid piles of luxurious fabrics, jewels, and golden vases, the king holds his last party. His women, favorites, accomplices, and degraded priests surround him. The sounds of drunken laughter blend with 1,000 musical instruments. The tamed lions roar, and a cloud of perfume rising from the palace envelops everything in a thick mist. Flames are already breaking through the cedar walls. The joyful songs will soon turn into screams of fear and cries of pain. But the magic that could not save the empire of Ninus in the hands of its fallen adepts will at least mix its wonders with the terrible memories of this massive tragedy. A huge and dark light, unlike anything seen in Babylon, seems to push against and expand the sky. A noise like all the thunder crashing together shakes the ground and rattles the city, causing its walls to crumble. The deep night falls again. The palace of Sardanapalus is gone, and tomorrow his conquerors will find none of his riches, his body, or his pleasures. Thus ended the first Assyrian Empire and the civilization created by the true Zoroaster. Here, true magic comes to an end, and the reign of the Kabbalah begins. When Abraham left Chaldea, he took its mysteries with him. The people of God grow quietly, and soon we will see Daniel facing the miserable enchanters of Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar.